Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. My guest is Ohio's Attorney General Dave Yost. He is the author of this brand new book, Stand, An Ohio Life. I came in with Layla for a reason. General Yost, welcome. Why don't you tell him why I came in with Layla?
Well, it's one of the songs that I play with my band from time to time.
That's exactly right. I've actually found Stand, An Ohio Life to be fabulous reading. I am from Ohio, though, so I know most of the places that you write about and most of the people that you write about. And I enjoy the fact that as a Republican, you've won 4 out of 4 statewide races, right?
I have never lost one yet. Don't
And
intend to
so
start now.
I know, and I like Yost. I like Y4AG. I don't know what tricky thing you're going to come up with, but here's what I learned in this book. I did not learn you ran on the platform of protecting the unprotected based upon Peggy Noonan's most important essay of the last 25 years, The Rise of the Unprotected. Would you tell people why you adopted that and why it matters so much in Stand?
So Peggy Noonan, of course, former Reagan speechwriter and Bush speechwriter, uh, and now an eminent pundit, I guess, at the Wall Street Journal. She wrote in the middle of the whole Trump phenomenon, when everybody in the elite coastal community was going, "What's going on with this guy? Why is everything? Why does everybody like him so much?" She wrote an incredible piece that just I thought was eye-opening, and talked about how most people in America that are reading books and living in Washington or New York are protected. They've got enough money in the bank that if the transmission goes out in their car, they've got an option. Maybe it'll hurt, they'll trade it in, maybe they'll get it fixed, but it doesn't mean they're going to lose their job, they're going to lose their apartment because they lost their job, they're going to be homeless in short order. They're more or less protected. They've got information, they've got training, they've got networks, they can navigate society. But President Trump, all the way back in 2015 and 16, was speaking to the unprotected America, the people that if the alternator goes out on your car, you have a life crisis that could threaten the ability to even have food and shelter for your family because they're living paycheck to paycheck. They don't know who to call. If they do try to call somebody, they're on hold forever. They're unprotected. And Trump was speaking to those people. I was so taken by that because I know those people. I went to school with them. I go to church with them. They're the people in Ohio's counties and towns all across this state. And I was so taken with it. I thought that says a lot in one phrase: protect the unprotected. It's my mission.
It's a great mission statement, and I thought it was very revealing that you would use that when you ran for Attorney General. Let me dive into the book Stand. The funniest line in Stand is on page 110. Governor John Kasich is a rough and often irritating man and a difficult person to talk with. Try moderating 4 debates with him on the stage, David Yost, because he doesn't
You
stay
did a
put.
great
He doesn't
job.
even. So when you face off with Vivek Ramaswamy, who, by the way, his blurb is at the top of your book, I think that's an amazing act of trolling, David Yost. So that's very, very funny. But when you square off against Vivek, and I'm happy to moderate the debate, I think you both trust me to be fair. Who's John Kasich going to be for, and do either of you want his endorsement?
Well, look, as I talk about in the book, I have had some pretty serious fights with John
Yes.
Kasich. We've had our differences over the years. For example, I'm a Republican, so I would love his vote, but I don't know that I want his. I don't know that I want his endorsement.
He's been he's been both a boon and a thorn in my side for a long time. A very difficult guy to interview, General, because he doesn't stay on topic. Let me go to the next thing that I found both entertaining, and I had to be careful. I had to do a little Oppo research before I brought this up because I'm from Warren, which is next door to Niles, and I know there are some Infantes who went to John F. Kennedy High School, And I didn't know if Ralph was among them, but my brothers tell me they don't remember any Infante, so I don't think he's a Kennedy grad. Can you go to Niles, or do you need protection when you go to Niles?
Well, of course I can go to Niles, but I take my security detail with me.
Did you pick, when you write a book about this, you have to pick some case studies. First Energy's in here, but Infante interests me because it's Niles. What did you leave out of the book? I mean, you could have obviously written a much longer. You did a nice sized book. I got it done in a day and a half. I said, okay, this was really well written for a campaign. What did you not try to explain to people because it's too lawyerly?
Oh, that's a great deal of the work in our office. The major questions doctrine, for example, or vertical separation of powers, as opposed to everybody's familiar with horizontal. The courts, the executive, Congress. We also have federalism and vertical separation of powers that has a whole different set of implications. So just an awful lot of things that I'm fascinated with, and I know you are as well, as a lawyer. And it just, I knew I would lose people. I had my wife read this manuscript as we went by because I figured when she lost interest, I was going to lose everybody else.
I thought you moved along at a very good clip through federalism and through everything that the auditor does. I did not know what the auditor did. I grew up there. I had no idea what OAS or AOS was until I actually read this, and that's pretty. I knew about the redistricting commission. So, tell me where we are on redistricting in Ohio. Is that settled now? Did the initiative prevail? I don't really know.
Well, the voters saw through the institutionalized gerrymander that they tried to put in the Constitution that would have cemented Democrat rule in this state for the foreseeable future and put it in the bedrock of our Constitution. The voters saw through that and voted it down. It's still a live issue. And of course, we have redistricting coming up here. So I suspect, as is appropriate, in a country and a state that is governed by the sovereign people, we'll continue to talk about how do we do it? How do you draw the lines? Who holds the pencil? How do you approve it? But for the moment, the voter approved changes of 2015 and 2018, which made some major improvements for fairness, are the law of the land.
Well, that's good to know. Stand by, Attorney General Yost. I'm going to go to a break and then come right back. The book is Stand, An Ohio Life by Dave Yost, and I love the people you've got endorsing it, including Larry Arnn, who is well known to my audience, the president of Hillsdale College, James Pinkerton from the W White House. But my favorite is Vivek Ramaswamy on the cover. Dave Yost fought against the woke and won. That's why this is kind of a giant troll at the same time as it's really a primer on how state government ought to work. I'll be right back with Dave Yost, Attorney General of Ohio. Stay tuned. Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. If you're watching on the Salem News Channel, that gentleman is David Yost. He's the Attorney General of the state of Ohio. He's the author of this brand new book, Stand, An Ohio Life. He is running for governor in Ohio. He's going to be running against Vivek Ramaswamy. Couple of notes, General. First of all, you used the term subpoena duces tecum on page 118. That's a running joke in my old law firm. Whenever we wanted to confuse people, we would say subpoena duces tecum, and they never had a clue what we were talking about. So that was funny. The thing that was shocking was count day. I had no idea until I read about count day, how that mattered, and what hijinks is not the right word. Crimes went on. You want to give people a 2-minute explanation of count day and what you found?
So one of the things that we've got wrong in education is we basically pay for butts in the seat. Count day was the day, it was like the census. It was when we counted every kid in school, which school, and as long as you were there, you got funded for the year. So obviously, if you're a tax taker or you're running a school, you want to make sure everybody's there. So they came up with things like pajama day. You can come in your pajamas. My mother would have turned over me over her knee and spanked me if I even suggested such a thing. They came up with pizza and gift card giveaways, and would literally send staff out into the neighborhood just one day, beating the bushes, trying to get the kids to show up for school. Rest of the year, not so much. But when the money was on the line, they were there with innovation and hard work, which tells us that if we change the way we pay, we might get innovation and hard work in other areas that will give us a better education system. And I've got some ideas on how to do that I'll be talking about over the next year of this campaign.
You know, General, you'll be on a lot in the next year, as will Vivek. And I don't know when the primary is, but right up until then, I'll be talking to you both. However, you have twice gone up against Ivy League entitled people, both David Pepper and Steve Dettelbach. I mean, you have made a habit out of slaying Ivy League opponents. Are you going to run the same campaign? Because the difference this time is you raised $5 million in your last campaign for Attorney General. Vivek can sneeze and spend $5 million, right? What are you going to do?
Well, we're going to show that we've got a record of results, not just rhetoric. Look, if money were all that counted, we would all be looking backwards on the presidency of Mr. Bloomberg, a billionaire who tried to run and didn't get there, or the presidency of Jeb Bush, who had more money than anybody had ever seen. So it's not having the most money, it's having enough money. And fortunately for me, people know my record here in Ohio, and I've made a difference in people's lives. That's something to talk about. I haven't been changing my mind or changing my lines to fit with the applause of the moment.
Well, you know, there's a name in this book that comes up a few times, Jim Rhodes. I grew up in Jim Rhodes, Ohio. And he knew about the canary seat. He knew about everything else. But he also was a pretty doggone good retail politician. And he'd show up in Warren on a regular basis. Are you going to run a Rhodesian campaign without the corruption? I hope there was corruption in the Jim Rhodes campaign.
Yeah, we'll definitely skip the old school rough and tumble stuff that Roy Martin used to specialize in. But yeah, this is about getting out there and being with the people. I've been doing it for the past year. I feel like I'm living out of my car and asking people I just met to give me money. Probably training for homelessness, but it's a wonderful experience to be out in Ohio, away from Capitol Square, and talking to people where they actually live, what's important to them. And let me tell you, it's not the stuff that you're seeing on the elites talking about.
You've been willing to debate everyone that you've run against, and a couple of those debates are in here, including the first one with then former Senator DeWine, now Governor DeWine, right up through Dettelbach, et cetera. Are you going to be debating Vivek?
Love to. Anytime, anywhere. In fact, Vivek, if you're watching this, I know Jay probably is for Oppo research. I'll tell you what, let's reprise Lincoln Douglas. Let's do a series of them around the state. You're a smart guy. I love talking with you. It'll make both of us better, and it'll help the voters make a good choice. What do you say?
There were 7 of those. They were an hour went to the first person, an hour and a half went to the response, and then the opener got 30 minutes. I'd love that. Do you think he's going to accept that?
Oh, I'm down with that.
I think it would be fabulous. But if you need a moderator, call me. Dave Yost, congratulations on Stan. It's a lot of fun. People ought to go and read it if they want to know how Ohio works. Dave Yost has its number. Thank you, General. I'll talk to you again soon. Don't go anywhere, America. I'll be right back.